well, we're gonna start with Thought, all right? Because he's got somewhere to go. So
Okay.
I'm gonna start him off first.
Okay.
All right?
No problem.
Just hit number 3.
All right.
Just the number
Peace,
3.
bro.
What's up, bro? I'm gonna start the show. I'm gonna introduce the show. I got my intro and then my partner and then the topic and then I'll bring you in.
All right.
Okay? All right.
Yeah.
Number 3 on the keypad.
Right.
On the that number 3.
All right. All right. Welcome to another edition of Hip Hop Rewind and Then Some. I am your host, the moderator, the X-Man, and to my left of me is
Onyx, Lady Onyx in the house.
What's up? Also, thank you guys for supporting us on our Instagram, our YouTube, and our Facebook page. Also, our TikTok followers. I love you guys, man. So today's topic is what defines mental illness. And it's a various topics on mental illness, on different things I didn't even know about myself. But we have a special guest, my brother Thought. So, bro, step on in.
Peace, everyone. This is Black Thought. Well, I don't have a definition for what defines mental health, but I can tell you, one of the things that causes these mental health issues,
Right.
particularly in this atmosphere. So I'm calling from East Europe, and I came to prison when I was 19.
Right.
Right. So I've been in prison for 31 years. So from through my lived experience, like I've seen guys come in my age, and over the years, young guys coming in and older guys,
Right.
where they have this break. So when you in prison in this environment, like your body and your mind is constantly under constant strain.
Right.
I mean, every single day. So, I mean, just to survive in here, like it's a task.
Right.
So when your body is struggling to respond to create a safe space, like you can have these breaks with reality. And
Right.
so, and an experience that I had was, now, like I said, I came to prison when I was 19.
Right.
So, this young kid that I basically raised myself and another guy that was here.
Right.
So he had since gone home.
Okay.
So he came here. So, we had walked the yard a few times, and he was telling me about what was going on in his life that led him to prison.
Right.
So during one of these walks one day, he just started crying. Now, mind you, prison hyper-masculine. So, the survival mechanisms that people create,
Right.
I mean, everything is hard. Everybody has to be tough.
Right.
You know what I mean? To create these images, these masks. So when this grown-ass man is walking with me and he just starts crying, like I've never dealt with anything like this.
Right.
So I didn't know, how to help him. So that incident just triggered like fight or flight.
Right.
So because I didn't know how to help him, I'm looking around for help, like for me to ease off, so I can push this guy off on somebody.
Right.
But because nobody came to my aid, I was forced to, just listen.
Right.
And so as we walk in the track, and I'm starting to listen to what this guy is explaining, what's going on in his life, and it parallels my own.
Right.
So now I'm maybe, bro, like 10 years older than this guy. So almost to the point where, yo, I can say, yo, this is a kid.
Right.
But he doesn't know how to help himself. But in the moment, I don't realize that he has enough trust and confidence in me that he can be vulnerable in that way and not have to be subjected to ridicule or judgment. I'm not thinking about any of this in the moment.
Right.
So it's not until after all of this stuff happens when I have the opportunity to now reflect, when I'm back in the cell and I'm thinking about what just took place.
Right.
So now everything is coming to me like wow, like, you know, this guy felt enough about me that he felt as though he could be vulnerable and not have to worry about that his vulnerability be used as a weapon against him. So, you know, the strain and the rigors of trying to create, and I think that a lot of times that happens when the person hasn't developed adequate mechanisms to cope.
Right.
So when they haven't developed coping mechanisms, this is why you have, particularly in this environment. Now, I can't speak for, you know, how y'all live out there.
Right.
But I'm just saying, in my 31 years of experience being in prison, like, a lot of times this is what happens. And now, they're using prison as, you know, as a means for mental health.
Right.
Like, they're not providing any treatment for any of these guys in here. So as soon as somebody has a break, a psychological break, or a breakdown,
they put them in a
it
hole.
goes into depression.
Right.
Yeah, they isolate them, and that's one of the worst things you can do to somebody in that moment, in that space. So I have witnessed a few people recover,
right,
but the most don't. And the reason that they don't is because then they start, rather than providing adequate treatment, what they do is just pump them full of drugs.
Let me ask you something.
So they narcotize them. Yeah.
Do you guys, can you guys say something to them, or to the warden and write somebody like, this is what we're going through, we need help? You know, for people who's going through those things.
And this is the interesting thing about that. So, because everything is so skewed to security, so they securitize everything. So, if you write, like right now, if I got on the kiosk and was like, yo, you know, I'm having problems, I'm having difficulty sleeping, I need to talk to somebody. The first thing they'll do is they'll put me on path to go see mental health, and then mental health will prescribe drugs. Like,
drugs are not always the answer.
I don't want drugs. I don't need drugs. And you're exactly right. That is not the answer.
No. I mean,
that's not the answer.
No, it's not the answer.
But that's their first recourse.
They give you drugs.
And so it is to give you drugs. And
those
now,
drugs, all they do is just put you...
Effects.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's drug you and socially isolate you.
That's making it worse.
Exactly. So that doesn't do anything but exacerbate the problem.
I don't know what to say on that part.
Yeah, so that's basically in a nutshell as far as, you know, the strain of prison. And like I said, I truly believe, and I actually had a brother in one of my classes where his senior thesis was actually on that,
right,
about the mental health effects of incarceration. So he actually studied. He actually got waivers from guys. He had got their mental health, got their health records and everything. So they actually did all of that. So, and he showed how it was disproportional to the population as far as, you know, racial and ethnic. Yo, he went through all of that.
Right.
He went through all of that and showed how close custody or isolation actually makes the problem worse. So when there were guys that may have had a disposition to mental health crises, then the prison would become a strain and that would trigger it.
That can be another form of post-traumatic stress disorder.
Exactly.
That falls under the
Like
mental illness category.
Yeah, you can use it. You can view it that way. I mean, it's a mild form of torture. You can view it that way as well. So where now some guys, there has been guys that I've come up with, grown up with in the prison, and then I've seen to where their mental state deteriorates to the point where, you know, everybody, and like I said, like I'm not trained in treating someone's mental health crisis, but after that experience, you know, I went through, I actually took a class
Right.
on mental health. And so my whole thing was, because I experienced that with him, I made the decision that, yo, I wouldn't allow myself to not provide aid to anybody else. Like, I would not allow that to happen. So if someone was in a crisis situation with their mental health, their mental state,
Right.
then I now know how to help them. Now I can't treat them,
Right.
you know, as far as you know, medication or anything like that, but I know to be there with them, to listen, to where I can create a safe space amongst ourselves, to where, you know, it can become cathartic to that individual.
Right.
So it might be a thing where that's all that's needed, where the person just needs to talk it through. But because he can't talk it through with anybody, so, you know, people are quick to weaponize your vulnerabilities in particular. You know, people won't do that. They'll
Right.
shut down.
Right.
And then keeping those things bottled up, that puts them at more risk.
Right.
Yeah, that sounds like a. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That sounds like a slow death. What they put you through, as far as, you know, just wanting to medicate you and all of those things. Because me personally, I have experience where, you know, growing up, where because I was around unfortunate things, people would try to make it seem as if I needed therapy now when I didn't. And because I
Right.
didn't want to go along with those things, then that's when Zoloft came into play. And I didn't need that. If anything, it slowed me down.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
It slowed me down, and anything that I wanted to do regularly, I just kind of couldn't in this institution that I was in when I was younger. So I can kind of relate to that, what you're saying, Daria.
Hey, Thought.
Yeah.
Call us right back.
If it hang up, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call him right now.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
All right, so
Call me back. Good.
we gotta call back. All right, he gonna call back.
Okay. Meaning, mental health illness are health conditions involved with changes in emotion, thinking, or behavior, or a combination of these things. It's a whole bunch of things, man, that breaks it. And most common types, you know, clinical depression, a mental health characterized by persistently, and anxiety disorder, which is what I suffer from. A mental health disorder characterized by feelings of worry, and I had that problem from long as I can remember, I worry about everything, man, to the point where, it just drives me insane. I had to learn how to control that, where I had to get the, hey, I don't care attitude on certain things so I can control it. You know what I mean? 'Cause,
I go through that now, actually.
yeah, anxiety.
Yeah, it's some anxiety is something that I've kind of developed over the years within my circumstances, and I didn't always have it.
Right.
I'm normally a person where, oh, something's happening. Okay, let me fix it. Okay, let's move on to something else.
Right.
But I find myself even today, like in this certain state of mind where it's like,
Okay.
oh my God, something's happening. Everything is horrible.
Call. You will not be charged for this call.
And
This call is from
Anthony Leggy.
and now what I'm trying to learn is
East Jersey State Prison.
how to bring a
This
balance
call
to
will
that so I can
monitored
be
and
myself
recorded.
again.
For customer assistance,
And trusting
collection,
people is a
complaint
hard thing. So when you need someone to talk to, like he says, when people can weaponize whatever you're going through, it makes you want to shut in, and it does more harm to you. So for me,
All right, brother.
I'll sit at home and I'll just vent to the walls.
Right. All right. Hey, what's up, brother? You good?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, man. So we was talking about the different forms of mental disorder, aka mental illness, and but with Thought, he was telling us about his situation by coaching the brother that was going through different things. And what's your experience as well in it?
Well, like me personally, like I said, because I was fortunate enough to have older guys that, when I came in, they took an interest in my development, right? And so one thing that they emphasized was, not to concern myself with, running around, being in the yard and getting into things.
Right.
Their whole thing was they pushed me toward education and self-development. So, and I appreciate those guys for that. And because they steered me in that direction, I was able to develop, mechanisms of what I said earlier for coping. Coping with the fact that, I just received a sentence that, could leave me here for the next 30 years of my life.
Right.
So, you understand?
Yes.
So, if people think about, oh, well, even when this began, I couldn't see, this day right here.
Right.
So now I'm right at the door now. So initially when it started, I'm like, yo, man, there's no way. I can't do it 30 years.
Right.
I can't do it.
Let me ask you a question. Let me cut you off.
Yeah.
When you first went in and that cell clanked, what did it do to you? How did it affect you? Mentally, what did it do?
Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you.
That first day you went in, that first day of your sentence.
I'll tell you. Yo, so now going into New Jersey State Prison. All right, so everyone has to go to Yarsville and you get classified in Yarsville. So that classification actually determines what prison you actually end up at.
Okay.
So now I didn't know, I only knew Trenton as Trenton.
Right.
I didn't know its official name, New Jersey State Prison. So when the classification told me, oh, well, we sending you to New Jersey State Prison, I thought it was just a regular prison.
Right.
I didn't know that it was Trenton State Prison. So it wasn't there until it was only two of us. So it was myself and there was another guy from North that actually went to Trenton.
Right.
So when I came out and I told him, he was asked, yo, where you going? I said, yo, I'm going to New Jersey State Prison. He was like, yo, bro, that's the last stop. That's it. So I didn't understand, the language that he was using. What you mean it's the last stop? And so then he started explaining, yo, that's Trenton. Then I understood.
Okay.
But now, so on the ride there, on the van, we on the van. So the Bluebird, that's what they call it. So we on the Bluebird, and we go into these huge steel doors. So the gate goes up, they back the bus in, and then it's not until that gate closes that the reality actually hits you.
So how did that affect you?
I'm sitting, because like that sound, I don't think I have ever heard something as morbid and as dismal as that sound of that door closing. Because right then, when you hear that sound, now you hear doors close every single day,
right.
But that is different. It's just different.
Wow.
You're like, yo, this is it.
That's
like,
a door you're not coming back out of.
That is the sound of the closing of the rest of my life. This is what you think.
Wow.
Like, yo, this is it. Like, it's no way that I'm going to survive this.
Man.
I can't see a future beyond that door closing right there.
Wow.
And the tension in a place like that, when you hear people say, yo, you can cut the tension with a knife, it's like the air. It's completely thicker. It's hard for you to breathe. And now imagine being in a place with 1,500 people, and the median sentence is 110 years. Did you hear what I said?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Median sentence is 110 years. Now, bro, mind you, I'm 19 years old. I'm 19 years old. As far as I'm concerned, my life is over. And so to survive, yo, your mindset is automatically triggered right then and there that I have to live for today. And so now you know, with that type of mindset, you adopt these maladaptive personalities, these character traits. Like they are truly antisocial.
Personality.
To survive prison, you have to become antisocial. There's nothing normative about a prison, we call it carceral personality. There's nothing normative about that.
You still here though,
what
bro?
I recommend,
Still here, man.
Yo, I never thought that I would have lived to see this day.
You still here. I applaud you, man. You survived. You survived, man. I don't really have the words to say because I never lived that life, but just the fact that you're still here, I'm happy that you're still here. You know what I mean?
I'm happy too.
I'm happy you're still here, bro. Just the short time I know you, man, you're a good brother, man.
Yeah. And see, I need to tell you in the audience that a large part of that, me being here today, was the fact that I was able to, that regardless of the social oppression that I was forced to endure, is that, you know, I had similar situated people, guys that I grew up with. Well, look, I basically became a man in prison.
Right.
All of us did. So, and we formed a community around our commonality.
Right.
So, see, when you from your town, your city where you grew up, those older guys socialize you to think like, yo, it's concern yourself with the people from where you're from.
Right.
Don't worry about anybody else. But to survive a place like Trenton State Prison, you can't do that.
Right.
You cannot socially isolate yourself. You have to immerse yourself in community. You have to. That's the only way that you will survive that. And so I was forced to now create relationships, like nurturing and sustainable relationships with people from different parts of the state that I otherwise would be at odds with.
Right. Man. I don't know, bro. That's a lot to weigh heavy on the mind. You know what I mean? For going through that, and you have to change. Like you said, when you hear that door clank and that reality sets in, man. I already know that's gotta be a traumatizing effect, especially at being 19 years old.
Yeah.
And coming from freedom to now where like I'm hearing this. You know, like you said, the air is thin, everything, the atmosphere just changed. It's not the same. You know what I mean? But like I said,
Bro,
you hear
that, yeah. When that door closed, it was like everything on this side of the door just instantly transformed. And it was like, yo, every face you saw had a scowl, it had a scar, and that's just the physical.
See, that's the key thing
Like
that
the
you just said.
emotional,
Right.
huh?
The key thing you just said that everybody had a scowl, scar. Nothing is of happiness or pleasantry. You know what I'm saying? It's just darkness. You walk in, so that does affect your mind. And you go from being outside in the world and see all different emotions to now you just see darkness,
Yeah,
man.
everything.
That has to do
dark.
some effect on the mind. It has to. It's the way you go from being like different and then they tell me to a dark world, man. Like you going from a blue and white sky to now a cloudy environment, just cloudy and raining every day.
Every single day.
And thunderstorms every day. No clear blue sky.
Every single day.
Yeah. I
Every
understand.
single day.
I understand.
And see, and two is like I said, they say that this is the last stop.
Yeah.
So you have to be aware that these people in the system within the Department of Corrections, that these people are considered the worst of the worst. So where something as innocuous as you bumping into someone
Right.
could cause you to lose your life if that's not handled properly.
That would traumatize me.
If you're not quick to, yo, pardon me, bro, I didn't mean that, and explain yourself. If you don't humble down, like you could literally lose your life over something as small as stepping on somebody's toe, bumping into somebody. And Lord knows you better not consider cutting in no line in the dining hall. I have seen many people stabbed to death, but I've seen many people almost lose their life over something like that. And now, understand, like, this is something that happens every single day.
Right.
And so at some point, that takes an emotional and psychological toll on you.
Right. Wow. Well, thanks for sharing that, brother, man. I appreciate it. It's always good to talk with you, man.
Yeah, same, likewise. Yo, and I'm liking the co-host situation.
Hi.
I'm liking the co-host situation. That's a good look.
Yeah,
That's a
yes.
good look right there.
Yes. Change the flavor.
Yeah.
I didn't say much because I feel like everything that you were saying is more intriguing than anything that I have to say. It's just a learning experience for me. And I can relate to a lot of the things that you are saying. So I'd rather just listen at this point. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. No, thank y'all.
No, thank
this
you.
is a relevant topic that we really need to talk about more.
Yes, definitely. Like I said, you get different forms of mental illness that people suffering through here. So, I mean, you got, I mean, it's a whole different bunch of, there's a lot of them. It's a lot to narrow down, but everybody's going through different forms of it. And I'm quite sure the most one is post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Yeah.
I think that's the most heavy what most brothers are going through in the prison system. You know, I said I'm not a doctor to diagnose it, but for me, just hearing what you went through from 19 there on that door closed, that's traumatic stress. You know what I
You
mean?
have 30 seconds remaining.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
call me back, brother.
All right. Well, it was
All
good
right.
hearing from you.
Listen, I'm gonna give it back to Tone. I think he has somebody else lined up that wants. All right, I'm gonna give it back to Tone.
All right. Let's talk.
All right.
It's probably gonna hang up anyway, right? Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, call me back. It's gonna hang up.
All right.
Okay. I mean, I can't even imagine me coming from my world to go into a prison and hearing that door close, and like I said, I'll be like, just kill me now, man. I don't think I can handle it. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro.
Well, at least you're being honest.
Because I love nature. I love looking at trees, the sky, and you take that from me? I don't know, man.
Well, don't they have this recreational area where they call the yard?
Okay, it's no a yard. Okay, there's no lake in the yard. There's no geese in the
I know,
yard.
but
No ducks.
I'm not. Sorry.
Yeah.
But you're still outside.
Y'all hear this?
No. I didn't
Y'all
mean
hear
it.
this?
Whatever you think I mean, I didn't mean.
Y'all hear this?
Anthony Leggy.
She said it's still outside. It's not the same.
I totally feel like, well, I get it. But yeah, a lot of this stuff, like, I feel similar.
Hey,
to you,
what's
so.
up, man? Hey, Tone, let me ask you a question. I actually thought this question. I never got to ask you this. When you first went in, and how did it affect your mental? That first day when you got into prison, that first day. What did it do to you? How did it affect you?
The very first time I went to prison.
The very first time, the very first day, like, oh, snap.
Well, the first time, it was actually in the end. When I first got locked up, I was a juvenile. So,
Okay.
And the spot I was in, they actually put you in an isolation cell when you first go in.
Okay.
And so they had me stripped down, almost like a suicide type setup, to where they're trying to prevent you from killing yourself. They want to see if you're depressed or anything like that.
See?
And so they had me in this really cold cell, and it was like a nasty pale green color.
Right.
And no sheets, no blankets, nothing. I'm just in there, and I don't see anybody for at least like 6 or 7 hours.
Wow.
And so I'm just in there, just like wondering what the hell is going on, and just so I had like 1,000 different crazy thoughts running from my head.
Right.
Through my head, really, I'm just also wondering, what's this gonna be like? What's it gonna be like when I get on the wing? Who am I gonna have to fight?
Right.
Who runs this here? That I'm gonna be on? Because these are all the things you hear about before you even get into prison.
Right.
And so, as I'm waiting just to go into the tier, the anticipation and anxiety is really centered around, am I gonna have to fight tonight as soon as I get on the tier? Am I gonna know anybody? Because usually when you go into a jail, you're looking for somebody from your town, or if you're banging, you're looking for somebody that's under the same flag as you. Or if you're in a racial group, then you're looking for whatever race you run with.
Right.
Especially down to like the southern prisons, like down in Florida. And so that's all I was really thinking about. I wasn't thinking about family. I wasn't thinking about the charge itself.
Right.
My anxiety was, what does tonight hold in store for me? Like, what is this going to be when I
Right.
actually get onto the unit?
Which is another form
That
of...
was
Go ahead.
huh?
No, go ahead, bro. Sorry.
Now, the most impactful moment, I would say, or like depressing depressing and stressful time though was when, I got discharged, this first degree murder charge.
Right.
And I'm sitting in the county, I'm waiting. Nothing's really, jail was normalized to me. So like going into jail, that really wasn't, that didn't like shake my world too much.
Right.
Even when I first got the sentence, it didn't really hit me.
Right.
But the crazy part is when you go to, especially New Jersey State Prison, when the big bay doors open, when you pull up, it's a real old-looking prison. It's got the old walls built in the 1800s. And so you pull up to this big garage door, and it opens up. It's dark, real dark inside. So you pull in, and the light just slowly fades away. And then as that door shuts, it gets almost pitch black. And then there's like this little dim, yellowish light, like off in the distance where the door's at. So you get out, you walk into the door, and when you walk into the first hallway in Trenton, it's just this tall, long, gray corridor, and everything is gray. And I mean, it's matter of fact, I'm actually in the process of writing a poem now called Shades of Gray.
Right.
A play on, 50 Shades of Gray, but this one is just going to be about the torture of the color gray when you first walk into Trenton, and then move throughout the prison because everything is gray.
See,
Everything is different shades of gray.
this is what I want to say about that, what you just said. I always told people when I was younger that settings can change your whole mood. And if you got dark, dull colors, it's going to affect your mind. It's not,
Yes.
you follow what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You're not seeing nothing bright. So when you walk in there, the first day in there, they already putting that stim on your brain that you welcome to the Terror Dome darkness. This is not Kansas anymore type thing. You're not out in the bright world no more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And this is intentional.
Exactly.
They do this intentionally because, throughout my college, career so far, we've been studying the social sciences and stuff. But one thing we come across is this writing by, an older philosopher. I think his name was Irving Goffman.
Right.
And he wrote a paper on institutions and asylums.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about the stripping process that you go through as you enter into an institution.
Right.
And how they slowly strip away first your name, then your physical appearance, then your identity, and then any type of joy or happiness you may have had.
It's gone.
Coming in there, until they finally have stripped you of your humanity completely.
Right.
And then they put you into the prison. And so, color is part of that.
Right.
The color of the prison, they always choose these dull, monochrome, uniform colors that'll go throughout the entire prison.
Right.
And they're always like dull, pale colors. And so it's the same with Trenton. You go into this great hallway, then when they put you into this holding cell, it's a darker gray.
Mm-hmm.
It's dim light, all the windows are frosted. So it just has its effect. So you can feel the heaviness setting on your shoulders as you walk into this hallway. So it's definitely, that was very impactful for me when I first walked into Trenton. And then of course when you get on the 7 wing, which is where they put you at first.
Right.
It's very dark, very dirty. There's rats running all around.
Yo, you serious?
Some cells have no lights.
No, wait.
Yeah, it's
Rats?
crazy. Yeah, you got rats everywhere.
Oh, no, I can't do the rats.
Bad now.
No, I can't do that. I can't do the rat dance.
Yeah.
No. No, I can't do the rat thing.
On
No.
top of everything, it's also dirty. And then you got bugs and
I can't do that.
infestations and rats. It's crazy.
Wow.
So, okay, you have any other questions about that?
No, I just wanted to get that start off with. We talking about the mental disorder, so I wanted to know how that affects your mental when you walked in. 'Cause I thought the same question, and he said the same thing about those doors and the darkness and everything, man. But what are the most common types of mental illness you see in prison environment? What most of you see? Like, describe it.
Well, for me, what I've experienced the most as far as mental illness goes, like, actually diagnosed as a DSM or something,
Right.
would probably be bipolar disorder, depression, or like manic depression too.
Right.
Not just any, like manic depression, anxiety.
Right.
I actually had had anxiety when I first came into prison in Trenton. When they moved me to 6th Wing, I had 3 code 53s back to back. And a code 53 is when you feel like you're having a medical emergency.
Right.
And so for me, they had me in this cell on 14 on 6th Wing. And it's in the summertime, and these cells they're all metal. Your bunk is metal, the walls are metal, the floors are metal, the toilet's metal. And so it's like 96 or 97 degrees outside. It's probably like 110 in the cell.
No air
walls are
conditioning.
Sweating, like there's,
No air conditioning, no ventilation.
So does it work the same way in the wintertime? Does it work the same way in the wintertime? Hi, this is Onyx. I'm just asking you, does it work the same way in the wintertime? Like when it's cold outside, is it like freezing inside or?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, absolutely. And because the heat, you'll have like these little old radiators that are all the way at the bottom, and they kick out a little bit of heat, but a lot of times it's not enough. And so if you lock on the bottom tiers, like 1 and 2 tiers, let's say, you're going to be freezing. But now if you lock on the top 2 tiers, heat rises.
Yeah.
So all that heat will rise to the top. So if you lock on the top tiers, you're hot all year round because the heat goes all the way up. So even in the wintertime, it might be 90 degrees in your cell. You're there sweating. And then you add in, I locked in the back and right next to the shower. So it's 110 degrees in my cell. There's steam coming up from the shower. And so I'm in there, I'm feeling like I'm choking, like I can't breathe. I felt, my chest began to tighten up, and I'm in this little tiny cell.
So you telling me like right now it's like 90 degrees outside, so it's hot in your facility?
Well, yeah, like right now I'm in a dorm. Now it's not as bad in the dorms as
Right.
it is in
The cells.
the rooms, but in the dorms it's still hot. Like right now, I have like a nice coating of light sweat on me right now. It's not overbearing, but I'm definitely gonna have to go take a shower later.
Wow.
Just to kind of knock that off, knock a little of the edge off.
I want to ask you.
It-
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Oh no, I wanted to ask you about like visits and things of that nature. Was there ever a point in any time where you felt like no one would come to see you, and if you did feel that way, what was that experience like?
Yes.
Getting
that's
visitors.
kind of what I wanted to, that's a perfect question. That's kind of what I wanted to touch on. Like, because of the way I came up, like my childhood was not the roughest, but it was definitely terrible in the sense that, my parents gave me up when I was young. I was in foster homes, group homes, state facilities, boys homes, residential programs. So, like, I always had that chip on my shoulder, I guess you could say, and coldness towards anything resembling family. So when I first actually went to Trenton, and I'm doing this, I'm facing this long time, while I did have my sister and my aunt in my corner, they were still a little bit distant from me because they didn't know how to handle the situation. And so, when I'm sitting there in Trenton, I think my first 2 months, I didn't receive any mail. And I was like, oh, okay, this is how they want to do it? Okay, that's cool. So, like, I settled in my mind right there that I don't care. I'll do this time without anybody. I don't need anybody out of the outside world. And I actually began a slow process of kind of like icing that section of my life out and just focusing on, okay, I'm in prison. That's it. I don't care what's going on out there. Now my sister, Michelle, who me and her basically grew up together in the same type of adversity as far so there was that initial thought in the beginning, like, damn, I really am going to do this bit by myself.
Right.
But I kind of, because of what I went through all my life with family, I didn't have any emotion towards it. I was like, okay, it is what it is,
Right.
I'm just going to focus on this. Like, I was already kind of scarred because of the way I came up.
Right. But
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, sure. Ask me anything.
no, does that answer your
Okay.
question?
Oh yeah, it does. It does answer my. You know what? The reason why it answers my question, and the reason why I ask you that question, is because I mean, maybe what I went through may not be as serious, but I can still relate to you because growing up, you know, I was in a juvenile detention center myself, and I know what it's like when, you know, you're looking forward to someone to come visit you, like your closest family, your mother or whoever, and they don't know how to handle that situation, or they just don't want to be bothered, or you never get mail, you never get a letter, you never get anything. Wow. So I just kind of wanted to hear what you had to say about that, because I know how I felt as a preteen, you know, just in a juvenile detention center. You know, it's nothing, it's not really different, you know?
Let me ask you a question. I can ask both of you guys this, that saying like nobody reaches out to you and you during that time, can that affect you mentally for going on to the next day, the day after?
No, it's just like he said, you know, you kind of like, oh, I didn't get email, whatever. Like you, for a split second, you're just kind of like, damn, they don't care. It's just like what he said, like, oh, they're going to do it like that. But then instantly you're just like, well, I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to go play spades. I'm going to go read a book.
Okay.
I'm going to, you just kind of like numb yourself from that.
Okay. Call us back, Tone.
All right, hold on.
Okay. Because, I mean, I'm saying for myself, like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm an emotional guy, I guess, because I'm cancer.
It's a cancer thing.
Yeah. You know, I think that would bother me if, like, I mean, especially if I'm doing a long bid and I can't get a person to even talk to me or say what's up, a friend or a family member to reach out to me. I don't know. I probably would be more. I'm already quiet and to myself, so I probably would be more of a loner in that system. Like, you know what I mean?
It all depends. It just. Excuse me, it goes back to what they say, you know, you never know what you're going to do until you're in that situation.
Right, exactly.
Because I'm, you know, I was an outgoing kid, so it was all scary, and I didn't do anything that serious. But
I wasn't outgoing because my sister was. You know, I'm a twin. She was the opposite of me.
Yeah. So,
yes.
Hi.
Yeah, so that's we were just talking about that. Like, you know, for me personally, I don't know how I would handle that if I was in the system and nobody reached out to me, man. I told her, being I was a loner, especially growing up, I might have probably be more standoffish. But like she said, I wouldn't know till I got in there how I would handle it. So.
Yeah, listen, you know, my one sister always pretty much stayed in touch with me, but there was always an unspoken tension between us.
Right.
And my aunt, she did her best. She was my great aunt. She was my grandmother's sister. She did her best, but there was only so much she could do, and it broke her so much that she hated, like, having to come up and see me locked up.
Right.
She felt like it was her fault. But when it came to my mother, my other sisters, my father, and my stepbrothers, like, there was no, like, a root of bitterness definitely set into me to where it was like, there was a couple times when they tried to reach out to me.
Right.
And I didn't even respond to their letters.
Wow.
My sister even tried to get me to, hey, call them, here's your phone numbers, put them on your phone, this, and that. I'm like, man, I'm not calling them motherfuckers. Excuse my language, but that was just the emotion at the time. Like, I'm like, no, I'm not calling them. They know where I've been all this time. Now all of a sudden you want to reach out 15 years into my bid?
Wow, okay.
So, like,
I understand.
I had the same thing towards my mom. Because I was just like, hold up. Because my bitterness towards her was the fact that when I was in the foster home, and I finally got in a good one, because I went through like 3 or 4 foster homes that were just terrible.
Mm-hmm. And
then I ended up in one with, you know, a good, like, upper middle class family. I was their only foster child. I was their first one, and they wanted to adopt me.
Wow.
And so they actually began the process of adoption. And here comes my mom out of nowhere. Like, no, I'm ready. You know, the social worker's like, she asked me, she was like, what do you want to do? I was like, man, I want to stay here. Like, I want to stay with my foster parents. Like, I don't want to go with her. She was like, yeah, my hands are tied, though the court is always going to side with the mother. Wow. I was like, but they're supposed to side with what's best for the child, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, but what's best for the child, they feel like is, at the time, they're like, the narrative is, you know, if the mother has her stuff together and has a household, then the child being with the biological mother is what they consider the better option. So she was able to go to court and show, oh, look, I got a nice place. We're down in Florida. I have, a man that I'm with. He's a good man. He has a good job. This and that, blah, blah, blah. The whole, did this whole ordeal. And then when I get down there to Florida, it's really not that good of a situation. Like, we're right outside of, we're like on the edge of this spot called Greenwood and Clearwater, which is all gangs, all drugs, it's just not really a good neighborhood at all.
Wow.
Her husband's a drunk and beats her. And so, my first experience down there was me actually hitting him in the head with a beer bottle because he hit my mother. And then she kicks me out.
Wow.
I'm like, yeah. So when she kicked me out, I was like, okay, well, you know what? I ain't even coming back. Now here I am, a young teenager in Florida where I don't know anybody, and I'm out on the street. This is how what started me being going through like juvenile detention because I'm out here and I'm technically homeless. Like the first couple of nights, I'm sleeping in the back of cars that aren't even mine. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then that's when I end up linking up with some dudes in the area, and I start hustling with them. Doing B&E, stealing cars, selling drugs, and it just started me down the path that ultimately led me to prison. And so when my mom did first try to reach out, I dicked her off. I'm like, man, I don't want to talk to you. Like, I was still blaming her for me being in prison.
Right.
And then it got to a point though where like, my aunt passed away. She was the only one to kind of try to always look out for me. And then I remember a time when my mom did write me a letter, and she was actually battling cancer at the time. And she wrote this long, deep, emotional letter, and basically taking full responsibility, blame, just pouring her heart out in the letter.
Right.
And lucky for me and her, I'll say, her because I would have just, if she would have sent the letter a year earlier, 2 years earlier, I probably would have ripped it up.
Wow.
But because of where I was at mentally and spiritually, I was able to at least open the letter and read it.
Read it, right.
And I had enough growth at that point mentally and spiritually. And I had some healing in my life that, I was able to read the letter and then receive it. And then, we took baby steps. And then, slowly but surely, though, we mended that. And we're good now. I talked to her once or twice a week.
That's what's up.
Yeah. But what I want to, that kind of leads me to what I really wanted to talk about. Like, for me personally, I feel like, and we talked briefly about this, a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
To me, there's so much unspoken trauma in people's lives, especially for prisoners. The average prisoner the average prisoner grew up in a broken home, an abusive home, and has suffered multiple incidences of trauma throughout their life.
Right.
And a lot of that has been unremediated trauma and trauma that has not been dealt with. So, and then you factor in like not a good education either. The average prisoner has like a 6th grade education, 6th to 8th grade education. And so I had so much hurt and brokenness inside of me that was never dealt with at all. And so that's what led me to be the person that I was in prison. And, even in the street, but especially when I got into prison, the fact that I could be so cold towards my own mother and father was because I had so much pent up and built up inside of me. And some of it I didn't even know. Like, I felt like I was good. I'm just this strong individual that's surviving in a harsh environment. But the reality is I had years and years and years and years of, unhealed trauma. And the crazy part is like up until 2011, you had the American Psychiatric Association reject, all the way up to 2011, they rejected the idea that like early childhood trauma affects you later on in life.
No, that's bull. It does.
And so, but this is why though, when I was coming through prison and I was seeing the psychs and they were asking me questions, they never dug into my childhood. And it was only from getting around some stronger brothers in the prison who had gone through their own little journey, and they started trying to help me. They were like, Tony, you got to deal with your past. I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, you have to start digging into seeing, what led you not just to commit the crime you committed, but to have the mind state that you have. And like one guy told me one time, he told me straight up, he's like, Tony, you're broken, bro. Like, you need healing, because it's not normal. Because I was close with him, so I would tell him, like, yeah, my mom's trying to reach out, I ain't beat. Pop's trying to reach out, I ain't beat. And like he would try to hook me up with like pen pals, like women to write to on the street. And I'm like, man, I ain't beat. I don't need to focus on anything out there. I'm in prison. Like I literally cut myself off
from the world.
And but he's the one that got me involved with hip hop because he seen me messing around. I was doing a little writing or whatever. We doing little freestyles and stuff in the yard. But he was like, yo, you should watch. He was part of this organization called there's two organizations. One's called HAP, Hispanic Americans for Progress. The other one's called SCAR, Saving Kids at Risk. And so he approached me and another gentleman and was like, look, we're going to do a hip-hop play, and we want y'all to write for it. And, it's going to be about two guys who come to prison. One's innocent, they're both innocent, but one turns his life over to drugs and gangs in prison. The other one is focused on his legal work. And, pepper in your own little personal stories and stuff like that. So in doing that, and mind you, the only reason I did it was because we didn't want to do it at first, me and this other guy, my man Blaze. But the guy that ran the program was like, listen, he was like, this program, there's going to be a lot of, college chicks there. You'll be able to mingle with them and kick it with them. There's going to be hella food there. It's like a big banquet. So we're like, oh, all right, we'll do it. Little did I know, though, that, like, starting this process of actually sitting down to write, though, it got real deep for me and real personal.
You're right.
Because when I actually started writing the story out, it made me really begin to reflect and think about myself and my journey. And so, writing that first verse for the play unpacked for me, like, at least 5 years of trauma that I went through that I never even understood. And so I told him this, and he was like, yeah. He was like, I knew that would help you. He was like, I'm gonna sign you up for this creative writing workshop. So he signed me up for a creative writing workshop ran by this professor at Columbia University. And it was there where I began writing poetry, short stories, and then I just kept writing music as well. All the while I'm healing, though. Like I didn't even realize it, but this is what was happening because. And some of it was hard. Like, there would be times when I was writing a particular poem, and it would lead me to a bout of depression. And I would just be down for like a week. But when I came through the other side of it, though, when I actually finished the poem, I was better off. And so it was this process of healing, of writing, that actually began to open me up for healing. So that by the time my mom did write me that letter, I was at a good enough place to be able to receive it.
Right.
And so, just to say this, to anyone that's going to be listening to this podcast, like, the value of music, especially hip-hop, because I know a lot of people get down on hip-hop, a lot of people, they look at, like, even like, I've spoken with people before, like Tony, because they've heard some of the stuff I write.
Right.
And I write across the spectrum. Like, I got some street stuff I write about. I got some personal stuff I write about. I got my political stuff I write about. But they'll always harp on the street stuff. Like, why you write that stuff about the street? And I'm like, bro, I'm just telling you what I went through when I was on the street. They're like, yeah, but you're glorifying it. I'm like, no, I'm talking about it. Like, this is, because I don't have no albums or records out there. Like, this really is just for me and the people around me.
Right.
Like, we're just writing this stuff to vent. With the exception of, like, battle rhymes, and, that's all about pride. But when you're sitting here writing a story about the neighborhood you came up in, about the stuff you've seen, the stuff you've done, the stuff you've experienced, you're actually beginning a healing process by getting this stuff out. Because most of us have never talked about it. Like, the average prisoner doesn't feel comfortable talking about their personal problems because they don't have that trust built up yet.
Right.
Me and you talked briefly about creating that safe space in the prison environment so that we can open up and begin to talk about personal issues. But then I'm gonna cut myself short a little bit just in case you guys got questions because I'm running, but I want to get that first little chunk out.
No, I actually wanted to say to you quickly, I can relate to what you're saying as well on this topic because I just wrote a book myself, and it took me
Right?
Yes, the goat. Yes.
Yeah.
And it took me 2 months to do this, and every day, I found that I was healing from some things that I didn't know that I needed to heal from. I didn't even realize, and it still happens. It still happens. Things that I've forgotten about, things that I remember. You know, I may remember them, but healing from them, it was never that deep. But then I realized, like, oh, this is what I have to do. So you're absolutely right about that. You're absolutely right. It you know, with every chapter, the chapter is literally, you know, what happened.
Right.
And when you start thinking about what happened and you're writing this chapter down, you're like, oh no, this is bad. And this happened and that happened. And before you know it, you're taking a step back and you're crying and your face is in your hands.
Wow.
And, you know, you're just like, I can't believe you did this to me. You know, like,
How many times did you cry?
Wow.
That's what I was just going to ask you.
of course I did.
How many
Of course I
times you
did.
cried?
That's serious, man.
Of course I did.
It's crazy, but it's what's helped me grow into the person I am now by being able to have this creative outlet
Right.
to express myself.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Oh, we gotta wrap up soon. Listen, tell everybody how they can reach you, man. Tell our listeners.
Oh, well, listen, I mean, it's JPay. My name's Anthony Leahy, Leahey. My number is 452-851-C. You can hit me up on JPay, and if you want to talk about mental illness or about the things that's going on in your life or how I'm making it through, man, just hit me up, man. We'll email. I'll kick it with you.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
There's so much that people just miss out on in life because they're not willing to talk and open up.
Word.
What's the number again?
452-851-C. You got to go on jpay.com.
Okay.
And you can sign up, create it, and we can email back and forth. Anybody got any questions?
All right.
All right, brother. It's always good talking to you, and I appreciate you, man. You
It
there?
was nice talking to you too.
Is he there? I don't think he hung up. Must have hung up.
Yeah.
Ugh. But I don't know if he's gonna call back or not. But one thing I learned too from experiences from my anxiety, it said to write, and I started writing down journals. What I do, I would pick different times of my life. Like I took a chapter I just wrote by my grandfather. He died when I was 8 years old, but I remember like it was yesterday, and I wrote about him, and I started getting emotional, man. I was like, yo, I miss my grandfather, man. I was like, man.
That's you healing.
Yeah. I was
That's
like,
literally you healing, and
yo.
you're actually grieving. You're
Yeah.
literally actually mourning this person.
And I was writing everything
Finally.
about him, how he looked. I still remember him being a tall black male from Texas, man. 'Cause my family's from Texas, and we all got the same wide. We call it the Jackson nose, big nose. My grandfather has it, and I remember the picture he had of his mother on the door of his bedroom, and we all kind of favor her dark skin, big nose. You know what I mean? But just writing about him, and he fried his chicken wings when we was kids open. Like they do now at the Chinese restaurant. And
Oh, you're supposed to fold them.
yeah, but he fried it open. We was kids. Me and my sister be like, "Oh, how come you fry your wings like this, grandpa?" But then when I got older, I know why, because they get cooked done all the way. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
those things I remembered. And then him having the great Minute Maid, the Tupperware cups back in the day. He put the spoon in, he would put it in the freezer, and then we'll slide out, and we got homemade ice pops, man. You know what I mean? So I started writing things down, like I said, and it's been helping me, you know, to deal with my anxiety, because I take medication. I don't want to take medication, and a lot of times I withdraw myself from it. I start feeling weird, man. So I got to talk to my doctor about weaning me off of that, man, because I'm trying to deal with it more on a mental issue than a medication issue, you know what I mean? So, because, you know, it's better that way. And that's I started reading up on it so I could face my issues. That's why I started working out the last year harder than I ever did, because training helps me.
Exercising most definitely helps
Yeah.
you with your mental state.
Yeah.
I will say that firsthand.
Exactly.
It does. It does. Because, you know, when you're going through those reps and you're pushing
Yeah,
through the
exactly.
sets, you're literally,
Yes.
you're again,
Yes.
you're healing.
Yes.
You're healing.
Especially
you're
when
already
doing-
healing yourself because you're
Right.
already wanting to be better. You're
Right.
already, you know.
And then other than my partner Al that I work out with is a good thing, dude. We talk to each other about life things. Like, you know, I talk to him like something. We build. You know what I mean? And I always be like, man, yo, I appreciate you, man. He's like, nah, dude, this is what we here for. We releasing our stress and we talking about it, man. We getting a good workout at the same time, but we also releasing the stress,
Absolutely.
and that helps, man. So, you know, it's a serious topic, mental issues, mental illness, and my thing is people, you know, don't go the medication way. It's on calling back. Hold on a second.
Yeah, medication ain't never. I don't see where it's necessary.
No.
I mean, I guess it depends, but for that just being like the first thing you run to over something as simple as someone needing a sounding board or someone, you know, maybe needing their financial situation changed,
Right.
you don't need medicine.
Right.
Hello?
Hey, what's up, man? We about to close the show
Wrap
out.
it up, right?
Yeah, we about to wrap up, man. Just wanted to finish you. I was thanking you, but we didn't hear nothing.
Oh, yeah, it cut off, and then the voice recognition wouldn't let me back through.
Okay. Well, I was saying, though, I appreciate you, man. I thank you for sharing the story on today's topic of mental illness. And like I said, man, people, the listeners got your information once we put it out. And, you know, I hope they reach out to you and you help them. I know you're gonna help. I know you're gonna help them, but I just hope people reach out to you, man, because you know it's a serious thing. Like we were just talking before you called back about that. I started writing journals, taking different time periods in my life, and I'll just write about it, and it helps. You know what I mean? So,
Absolutely.
and, it's a
I
serious
think we
topic.
should have some follow-up episodes.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I'm hoping to get a. I was trying to get a psychiatrist, but I talked to her last week, but we never got back together because she said she'd definitely come on. Remember I told you before, I actually talked to her, but her schedule is tight, so I'm hoping I can get her on it. If I can even get her through the phone, I get another phone, bring another phone with me. We have everybody talking in a conference. You know, that's the next thing I'm gonna try to do. So, but like I said, I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah. All right, man. I appreciate both of y'all too, man. Y'all take care.
Oh, hey, Anthony, I wanted to ask you a
check
question.
Some, poems.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Hmm?
Never mind.
Ask him.
Now I wanted to know, would I be able to send you my book?
What happened?
Would I be able to send you my book?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna get it off of yeah. I'll definitely read it.
Okay.
I was gonna get it off of is it on Amazon, right? It's on
Yes,
Amazon?
it is.
Okay, alright, listen. I told him the first time that we can contribute to the cause.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Buy it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nah, I definitely have no problem buying it because you technically can't send me. It has to come from source of sale.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So,
Okay. Got it.
I'm not
Okay.
gonna make you buy your own book to send it to me. I'll buy it. That'd be terrible.
Yeah.
But I definitely got you, and hopefully soon I'll have my book out too. I'm putting my book of poetry together that deals with all the trauma and everything that I went through and how I dealt with the different issues.
That's what's up, bro.
So I have a lot of poems that deal with, abuses that I suffer, just everything, dealing with family, dealing with love, everything.
Right.
And just showing the process that I went through to, get my healing through creative writing.
Right.
Wow.
All right.
So maybe next time we do the podcast, I'll share some poems or songs with y'all.
Definitely.
I would love that.
Definitely.
All right.
All right, brother.
All right, well, look, I'm going to go. Let y'all wrap this up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace. Bye, my sister.
With that being said, I just gotta say one thing to the message to my black brothers out there, man. What happened over the weekend? The brother being shot over 60 times, 60 bullet wounds to kill this man. If you hear the actual audio of it, it sounds like they're in Iraq. I just have to say something. My message is that I don't care if you got warrants. I don't care if you got suspended license. I don't care whatever you get. When these cops stop you, man, don't run because they already got their guns drawn. They're gonna use you saying you pulling off as a weapon with the car. So they ready to release those bullets, man. So I just want you guys to stay alive, man. Don't give them no reason to shoot at you, man. because you're not gonna tell me that a mass shooter comes out of a situation alive, unscathed, untouched. He has weapons, and they don't consider him a threat or fear of their life. But when a black man stops for a traffic stop, he goes home in a body. He don't go home. He's in a body bag after a traffic stop. So you gotta tell me something's not right about this. Something's not right, man. So I want you brothers just to stay alive, man, because this is really getting. This has been going on too long, and I'm just tired of it, man. So stay safe out there, man. Please.
Absolutely.
Stay safe out there, man, because you're not gonna tell me that this cop fears his life, and you don't have a gun, and you die in a traffic stop. But cops that go after a mass shooter, they not fear their life, and this guy comes out alive with the AR-15. Really? No, I'm not. I'm done, man. So I don't know. You got anything to chime on that?
No, I don't. I think that's horrible. It's horrible every time it happens, no matter what. I just think unless you're actually shooting at a police officer.
This one was the worst because
for no reason, of
60
course.
shots,
60. That's a lot.
60
That's
shots.
definitely a lot.
And they hit him with. They shot 90 or something shots, but 60 hit him. So you right here, this man was 60 bullets, man. Let's take him down.
I mean, what did he have, a grenade launcher or something?
Exactly.
Like,
They're
What
gonna
was the
say he had a
point?
gun in the
That's
car,
horrible.
but listen, in Akron, Ohio, you have a no criminal record and a good whatever overall record. You can purchase a gun over there without a file for a gun permit application over in Akron, Ohio. So basically, if you have a clean record and everything, if we lived out there, you can go purchase a gun. You follow what I'm saying? And they saying that he shot at him. This little puff of smoke you so-called see in the video warrants 60 bullets, man. Like I said, you listen to the audio. It's terrifying when you listen to the audio. It's terrifying. It's like they're in Iraq, but I just want you brothers to be safe. I don't care. You got a suspended license, your car, the sticker, or whatever, man. Just stop and let you get the ticket and be out because they already got their hand on that holster. They already got it ready, cocked and loaded. You know what I mean? So be safe out there. Peace. And with that, I'm going to say, all right. And we out here. But be sure to check us out on hiphoprewind and then some.com. You can email us at hiphoprewind and then some at gmail.com. Check us out on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We out there, man. And YouTube, please. Peace. I holla.
Bye.
Ah.